Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Zero Two podcast. I'm LT along with Catchy. You're listening to episode 5, and today we talk Far Cry. So recently we just had the gameplay and trailer reveal of Far Cry 6. What'd you think, bro?
It was okay. I thought it was interesting. It was definitely, they took it in a different direction with some more open world elements than have been there before, at least some more in depth, detailed open world elements.
And we're back. It seems as if, though, we're away from the silent protagonist part as well. It seems like we're going to be an actual character, back to like Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4.
And yeah, that's what made 3 really good. It was that there was a lot of narrative and back and forth between the player character and the environment and other individuals there.
Yeah, and it gives you the opportunity to have some dialogue in there with the antagonist as well. I think Far Cry 5 really fell short with that.
I think Far Cry 5 fell short in a lot of categories, and I think the narrative and it all didn't the whole game didn't fall into place very well. But
But no,
the
this new trailer does definitely look interesting, and some of the weapons and things like that. It looks as if crafting is going to make a bit of a return. You're going to be able to craft some weapons, and they look really cool. I think the Macarena disc shooter looks amazing.
yeah, they came up with some good creative ideas and have fun with that. That was supposed to be something to do with the fact that the Cubans, of which this game is based in Cuba, had to be resourceful and innovative and during the American embargo since the 60s. So that's what that's supposedly supposed to do with. But they've come up with some creative stuff.
Yeah, so in the storyline, you're in the midst of this revolution, and obviously, you're going to use whatever you can get your hands on. I think in the trailer as well, we see a motorcycle engine being incorporated into a minigun, which just looks mad.
That looks cool. The disc shooter looks cool. A lot of the little bit of gunplay we saw looks good, but Far Cry, ever since the first, has always had pretty good gunplay. It's never had bad gunplay.
No, I think it's probably a benchmark for what gunplay should feel like. Even the sound of the
Mm.
guns has always been really, really good. They feel impactful,
Yeah, really meaty. Yeah.
which has always been great. And they always have quite a good variation of weapons too.
Yeah, like the AK and all the favorites will be back, but yeah, it's good to shake it up with these new things.
We also saw some of the custom vehicles. It looks like we're going to be able to add and subtract a few things to some really gnarly looking vehicles too. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, I thought that was good. The vehicles, as far as open world single player games go, Far Cry did that well too, has always done that well as well. The classical Cuban kind of 1950s styles cars were there, which I really liked. I liked those, and I think cruising around kind of fictional Cuba in those would be pretty good.
We also the introduction of a horse as well.
A horse, yeah, I don't remember that bit. Sorry.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a horse that's a an option for travel around the map and traversal. But I have to admit, in most Far Cry games, especially in 5, I don't know if it was just how the world was, and I didn't really enjoy the world that 5 was. I didn't use a lot of vehicles in 5.
Well, it was pretty hollow. It was about as bare bones as a Ubisoft game can get. It was like around 3 different types of vehicles that would periodically just spawn and go around the map, and you could choose to shoot at some people and take one of them.
Whereas in Far Cry 3, I was always on the quad.
Yeah, well, I think the landscape and the map in Far Cry 3 lent to exploring and enjoying that a lot more actually.
Yeah, it was. I think it was. Yeah, I think Far Cry 3 is the standout in this series. It always has been.
Far Cry 3 and its DLC, yeah, most definitely.
I think yeah, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is probably one of the best DLCs. I would say it's a definite benchmark of how you should do a DLC.
I'd say it's the highlight of the Far Cry franchise in general.
So yeah, I think one of the cooler things that Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon did was the use of everything was just neon, and it had a real cheesy like 80s action sci-fi storyline.
Yeah, they really nailed the neon kind of hyper glowy purple green environment, and it was really convincing, and they put a lot of effort into what was actually a pretty short, maybe 6 7 hour DLC. But the cutscenes were all pixel, and there's a lot of references to things that 80s movies, action movies, Predator, things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, things like Predator, Terminator, and the voice obviously of the protagonist being Michael Bain. I think that was great.
Yeah, that for me, that's the highlight of the series, and it's not really technically the series.
See, the Far Cry 3, I think, being set on like the Asian Pacific island of what was it, Rook Island or whatever it was, it had really, really pretty environments. The environments were great. I think it had some really good scale and traversal options and things like that.
Yeah, I think the map was really good. It was really well suited to what Far Cry has been so far as a game. And more than that, and what it was especially lacking in 5 having a silent protagonist was that, again, that it was so personable, and it really had that element, and all the characters were so like, especially the villain in that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's just put it out there. Vas Montenegro is the best antagonist Far Cry has ever seen. Even the cool thing with Far Cry 3, I don't know if you saw them. Did you see the YouTube shorts of the voice actor that played Vas Montenegro actually as Vas Montenegro filming these little torture scenes?
No, I didn't. No.
They're really, really cool. They're funny. They're with the guy that he's out of Superbad, the McLovin guy.
Oh yeah, no, I did see those like ages ago. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they were really well done actually.
yeah, they were. They really got you hyped, and I thought they were really fun.
They had a lot of high production value too. They really believed in Far Cry 3. That
Oh
sold
yeah,
it pretty well.
definitely. And then rolling into Far Cry 4 and then Pagan Min. What do you think of him?
They definitely tried to capture lightning twice or in a bottle there. They didn't quite do it. He wasn't as charismatic as Vass. He didn't have all the likably evil, I guess, elements that he had, and it wasn't as compelling a game to really push you through the story. I don't think.
No. I think Adrian Brody was a better protagonist in that. I didn't really like RJ. RJ just came off as kind of flat to me.
Well, he is voiced, which yeah, I do like, but he was very passive. Like anything that happened was he was fine with. It's like, ah, yeah, I'm doing this. Oh yeah, my people are getting massacred. Yeah, I'll just go over here. I'll climb a radio tower. I'll climb another radio tower.
And I don't think Far Cry 4 really built on any of the mechanics that Far Cry 3 did well enough to actually, change much.
I think they took Far Cry 3 as a blueprint and improved on nothing, just changed the setting, and it was a step back in some respects.
Yeah, I'd say the gameplay and like technically everything was solid. Gameplay, graphics, all that sort of stuff. But like story and character wise, it wasn't up to the standard that Far Cry 3 set.
Hmm. And then we had Far Cry 5.
Even more so, disappointing.
Yeah. The villain was. I guess some people might have liked him. I didn't think he was that compelling.
I liked the idea of like this cult. I liked the idea of that, but I don't think it was done well. The Seed family just didn't hit.
I think it's a good idea. Like it could have worked. It's just the execution wasn't there. They didn't design. I guess it's really three different antagonists, and none of them felt particularly evil, either in a really horror esque sense or in a entertaining kind of way.
And I'll say the worlds that you were introduced to in Far Cry 5 didn't really feel. I don't know. That particular environment felt really flat for me as well.
It felt really hollow and like
Yeah, a lot of empty space.
everything there to do was just too deliberate. Like, oh yeah, go hunt over here in this spot and this spot, and then there's a whole bunch of bland space, and then there are some cult members in a pickup truck inevitably around the corner.
And they took a lot of the crafting elements away too. One of the best things in Far Cry 3 was crafting, larger quivers, bigger ammo packs, things like that.
Yeah, that added a lot of meat to the game and hours to the game and made it worth kind of really investing yourself in. And yeah, like a lot of that game, Far Cry 5 was hollow there.
And one of the most pointless things was the character customization in Far Cry 5. I
Yeah,
don't I don't know why they even thought of going down that route.
for an entirely first person game, you get to customize. Oh, and a silent protagonist. You get to customize your gender, what you're wearing, all of this. You never see it.
Yeah, literally the only thing that matters is if you choose to wear gloves.
Yeah,
So
that's all you'll
that's
see.
all you see.
Hmm.
Now, flying on to Far Cry 6, unfortunately, the narrative director has confirmed that a story is political, which was a theme in 5 in some of the marketing and things like that. A lot of people were saying, oh, it's current day America. We're going to see current day politics. Thankfully, we didn't really see any of that in Far Cry 5. Unfortunately, it kind of seems like we might see some of it in 6. Hopefully not.
Well, 5 was. It's supposed to be. They were kind of alluding heavily to a kind of white cult, white supremacist kind of vibe of people being out there, but they wouldn't admit to that. They wouldn't commit to the oh, that's what it is. They were very much okay. Well, hands off. It's a video game. It's very much a fantasy. Doesn't make any sense in the real world kind of game. So we're just going to leave that. But in this one, they've come forward and said things like they have a message against fascism and they have a message against several things, which makes no sense.
Yeah, so in an interview with the gamer last week, Naveed Kavari, I probably murdered that name, uh, who is the narrative director for Far Cry 6, has said that the forthcoming game is not meant to be a political statement about what's happening in Cuba specifically, which is good. That's fine. However, he then went on to clarify his comment in a news statement, which is a little bit more uneasy. He said that the story is very much political. It's a story about a modern revolution. There are hard, relevant discussions in Far Cry 6 about the conditions that lead to the rise of fascism in a nation, as you mentioned earlier, the cost of imperialism, forced labor, and the need for free to fair elections, LGBTQ rights, and more of that within the context of Yara, which is this fictional Cuban island.
Yeah, well, fascism, communist island, but all right. Yeah, I think it doesn't need any of that. I don't think it's the right game to have that conversation. I think it's insulting to think that that's the kind of product, that's the kind of video game you want to put out to have that conversation about that topic. It's about firing CDs at people and mini gunning people down and driving all over the place. I don't think personally that it needs a political element.
Oh, look, if look this in story wise, if you're going to make a fictional political revolution. There has to be politics within the game, but they have to be fictional politics that go with the game and the storyline. They have to suit, the fact that there is a revolution in this particular area and everything that comes with a revolution. That's fine, but don't bring in this modern day, mostly American, mostly Western, leftist agenda driven storyline that we see so often in other games.
Yeah, I think it could have been just fun. It could have been just fun, but
Hopefully it is. Hopefully they're not going to go too deep into the modern day, especially LGBTQ and all that sort of stuff. That just seems pointless.
well, you can if you want. It won't, as long as it doesn't take away from the gameplay. But that doesn't really. It's neither here nor there.
Yeah. My only worry is when games tend to worry about an agenda or politics before storyline and fun. That's when it really impacts the
Well,
game.
it's an entertainment medium. If you have something to say about something, then either make a video game that's appropriate for it and it treats it as a serious subject matter, or maybe a book is more your speed.
I think it was Neil Druckmann that actually said, games shouldn't be fun.
Oh,
Not long
I
ago.
definitely believe him. I've played Last of Us Part 2 recently, and no, it's all depressing. It's all depression. It's depression, the video game. Moody and edgy, the video game.
But then Kavari then went on to say, but if anyone is seeking a simplified binary political statement specifically on the current political climate in Cuba, they won't find it. So there is a little bit of hope that they haven't gone too crazy with it.
I will say Far Cry 6, it from what we've seen, it looks like it could be fun. Just leave it at that and don't be too heavy-handed with the political aspect of it.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from the short amount of vision that we've seen. A couple minutes in a gameplay and story trailer is hard to get an overview of what the game is actually going to be like. But it looks very much like classic Far Cry. There's going to be good gunplay. There's going to be a little bit of crafting and a little bit of fun to be had. So hopefully that's all that they target.
Yeah, I thought what they showed us was that they're trying to incorporate some new things, some new elements about open world gameplay that haven't been in the previous 3 games, or 4 games if you count Primal.
Yeah.
And that's good. It could be fun, and I could still pick it up if everything goes okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping we get another positive spin on it, and I hope that they do the antagonist well. I hope for another Vast, but that's a long shot at this point. Now, jumping on over to another recently released trailer we saw for Dying Light 2. What are your thoughts on that?
Dying Light, it looks really good. The first Dying Light was actually really fun. I thought it was going to be a kind of a Dead Island clone when it first came out. And it was just going to be more of that. But it was that pushed to the polished to the absolute best it could be, plus a very interesting kind of night day mechanic and a much more believable, filled out open world with parkour, which was pretty good.
I was going to say, parkour wise and gameplay wise, how was the movement and parkour system in the first game?
It was smooth. It was smooth. It was really good, and it made a lot of sense in the context of running away from a lot of zombies. So it was really well placed in that.
Now, some of the things we saw in the trailer, some really cool melee moves. It looks like you can beat the crap out of these zombies. There was drop kicking and uppercuts and things like that. But it looks like you got a fairly wide array of weapons as well.
Yeah, that was carrying over from the first game. The first game had really, really good first person melee combat, PvE. And it was really, really satisfying and meaty, and there was all manner of different things you could craft to kill zombies with. And
Now,
it looks like it's back and just as good, if not better.
now take us over this day-night mechanic that you mentioned earlier.
In the daytime, it'd be that zombies would be sparse and they'd be more kind of placid and mellow and not as aggressive, and that the world would be more traversable. Whereas at night they were hyper aggressive and very hostile, and you couldn't move around easily at all without it being this frantic kind of rush to get somewhere, which was really good, really good.
So in the new trailer, it seems like they have these particular layers, um, and once nighttime comes, these layers are empty. So you actually go down into these areas and get massive amounts of loot.
No, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they will do with this game and where they can take it. I'm hoping it's at least as good as the first one, but I'll probably pick it up regardless. Regardless of reviews or even bad, I'll probably still pick it up and see how it is.
Yeah, because this is one of the many games that had a COVID delay basically as well.
Yeah, it had some development hell from what we could hear, and it's good that it's coming back and it's still on track. Unlike other games like Vampire the Masquerade 2 or Bloodlines 2, that had development hell that COVID didn't help, and it hasn't recovered, but this one has, and that's good.
Yeah, no, definitely looking forward to it. Now, another trailer that we did see from Sony's State of Play was Horizon Forbidden West. Now, what do you think of that?
It was very pretty. In 2 words, very pretty.
Very pretty. Gameplay wise,
It looked good. I didn't play the first one. You did. Um,
I enjoyed the first one. It's very Tomb Raider kind of esque. The gameplay in the first game was really good. You've got some really cool weaponry available to you. You've got different ways of taking down different enemy types, especially when you're talking about the machine side of things. Alo's back. Alo looks cool. The world looks incredible. I can't imagine how cool this is going to be on like a 4K TV running on a PS5. I think it's going to look fantastic. And the introduction of maybe a little bit more deep story than we got in the first game. Hopefully, they introduce a few more characters and the storyline is a little bit more straightforward.
mm.
Um,
Would this be a system seller for you? Would this get you to buy a PS5?
this would get me to pull the trigger on actually purchasing a PS5 because this Horizon Zero Dawn was probably my game of the year on the year that it was released. I had a lot of fun with that game. As soon as we're able to actually get our hands on a PS5, that is.
Yeah, that I'm not too bothered about it until even next year. I don't think there'd be anything massive. When's Horizon getting released? Do you know?
2021 is all the information we have in regards to a release date of any sort. They haven't committed to any particular date. It is coming sometime this year. We just don't know when.
So Battlefield 6. There's an upcoming trailer. What are your hopes for this time?
I'm hoping that we don't see paraplegics wielding katanas or chainsaws. We know we're getting a modern day setting, as far as I know. I hope the game developers don't come out and call us all idiots.
These are good, valid hopes for this
I'm
game.
hope I'm hoping a return to forms. If I could see like a Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3 esque trailer, I'd be happy.
That's what I was going to say. We want another better Battlefield 4, and then that's enough. I'll buy your DLC. I'll play your game for at least 100 hours. I'm happy with that. Just a better Battlefield 4 kind of experience.
Well, you and I have over the years gone back to Battlefield 4 just purely because it is such a great game.
It's probably the best modern military style shooter I think I've played in the PS4, Xbox One generation. I think.
See, I think Battlefield 1 was quite good as well.
Battlefield One was good. Yeah, definitely within the bounds of World War One. It was a great game, and it had a lot of elements. Being on horseback, biplanes, the whole weapon set that comes with that era. It was a great game, and it was a really good looking game.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing that sort of limited it and sort of held it. I don't know if it held it back, but just the time setting.
Yeah. So modern day, there's only so much you can do. I mean, COD's done a lot, Battlefield's done a lot itself. Just make it better, and don't call us idiots. That'd be great.
It'd be interesting to see what they're going to do in regards to which factions are fighting which. If they have the balls to put like the US versus Russia or China or anything like that, what do you think about that?
Well, they got in trouble. I think Battlefield 4 was banned in China for just that reason. I would guess. I'm not sure if they've released any info on it as of yet, but I would guess it's going to be fictional countries or the US versus a fictional country.
Yeah, I dare say you'd be pretty much correct on that one. I don't think they'd have the guts to pull the trigger on pointing fingers at China or Russia at the moment. And hopefully, going into the gameplay, I know Battlefield 5, apart from losing a massive amount of their player base when they insulted everybody, they had a lot of problems on release with time to kills, different weapon balancing, and stuff like that. That's something that was always pretty good in Battlefield 4. It had a rocky release. There were problems with Battlefield 4 at release, but it became a really good, solid shooter.
Yeah, they kept with it, which is good for EA and DICE to do. And I got it on release and it was buggy as shit. It was kind of a mess, but it got really good. And it had a really good, solid player base for a long time.
Well, I know you and I always go back to Operation Locker and the 24-hour Locker server. That was a great server.
This is one of those maps. It's like a Dust 2 or a Operation Metro. Just one of those maps that was really, really, really good and kind of defined the game. That was a great map.
That's another thing. I think the maps in Battlefield 4 they were really well balanced.
Hmm. Really well thought out. A lot of them, including a lot of the DLC maps.
Give me a Pecheneg, put me on Operation Locker. I'm a happy boy.
You cannot go wrong with a Pecheneg. Positive KD right there.
Or you could just sit outside with a mortar and annoy people.
Yeah, mortaring was a great, great time. Spent hours doing that, just picking off little orange blips, and that was great map, great game. What I hope for Battlefield 6 is just more of the same, maybe a little bit prettier.
Yeah, I would say if you incorporated all the things from Battlefield 4 and just made slight improvements here and there, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be really well received after the shit show that was Battlefield 5.
Mm. But just going off the information that it's modern day military setting, that's what I'd hope for. I don't know if they're going to do anything wildly fictional with it.
Oh, there's a possibility that they could say, okay, this is modern day, circa 2042, and we have some new sort of futuristic tech. I don't think they'll go fantastically out there, but they could introduce things that are purely fictional.
They did in a certain DLC for 4. I can't remember which one it was. Final Stand, maybe, with the hover tanks and the like Gorse cannon and stuff like that.
They were cool inclusions. Yeah, they were really fun, and I think everyone's looking forward to. I know a lot of people have been playing Warzone, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I think everyone's looking forward to playing another massive online mode, 64 player skirmish with some vehicles in it as well, because the vehicles were fun.
I think Battlefield's conquest formula is perfect. I think 64 players is perfect. I think everything there, all the pieces of the puzzle are there. They just have to not fuck up.
Yeah, I personally prefer a conquest over the battle royale trend.
I could probably, with the amount of times I've lost at Battle Royale, I could probably do with that.
And one thing I am not looking forward to would be the people that sit in jets for hours on end and just obliterate you.
They like their KD being real high. Real high.
I know some of the times playing, what was the map? Siege of Shanghai? The helicopters in that thing.
Was
Jesus.
it Hainan Resort? I can't remember, but I
Hai-
remember.
I think Hainan Resort was bad as well because they actually had the two jets in that particular game.
Yeah. if someone gets really good with the jet, then yeah, you're gonna have a bad time if you're infantry.
Yeah, you
But
actually have to make a concerted effort to like, okay, if you've got a certain squad, is this like, okay, guys, we need to take that guy out and get him off the board because they can make a big difference if you're, really good with vehicles.
no, it's all revenge. It's all revenge. I'm going engineer because I want to kill this specific person. I'm gonna stay here until he gets back in the jet. I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah, I'm going to use the RPG. I'm going to get a lock-on rocket launcher, whatever I
Yeah,
can. He's coming down.
yeah,
And
that's it.
many a time we did that with very poor results.
Yeah, I think we died probably 10 times for every one time we got him.
And he'd spawn back in the jet every time. He just wouldn't play unless he was in the jet.
I prefer playing Battlefield as infantry. If you want to play, you can't say if you want to play vehicles, then fuck you, because that's a part of it. But personally, I like playing as infantry.
I kind of like the balance between the infantry and the vehicles in Battlefield 1 until they sort of started releasing what were they called? They're not juggernauts, the Goliaths.
Mm.
They're like the massive blimps, the massive tanks. It took a long time to try and take them down.
Yeah, they introduced a couple new elements there, especially with the mid game shake up for the losing team. That was a new element that I didn't really need. I didn't think it really fit. It was kind of more of a distraction from what was going on and sort of unnecessary. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening to the Zero Two Podcast, Episode 5. I'm Catchy along with LT. We'll catch you in the next one.